Hey guys, welcome to Developer Shootout. My name is Shay Scotton, and with me is Danny Burton. Developer Shootout is a series where developers face off to see who can most accurately and efficiently recreate a mockup.
In this episode, we have chosen the Stile Theme Variation by Kreativa.
Kreativa? Kreativa?
Kreativa. And it is a watch e-commerce homepage, or appears to be so.
Alright, so for this challenge, we have scored out each section, and we will be given 1 hour's time to complete as much of it as accurately as possible, and we will tally the totals at the end. Reduced from this final tally will be 1 point for every 10 kilobytes of our total file size, not including images. So here we go. Alright, so here we go. Just to start off, I'm jumping into the navigation, setting out all the divs, and just getting ready to do each section of the navigation individually. What have you started with?
I'm trying to see how well I can do it without actually looking at what I'm doing. So just trying to put in all the HTML right off the bat, and that kind of did not work in the end, if I recall.
I've done this type of navigation a few times before in the past. It is tricky to get the navigation actually centered within the header when you have uneven items on either side. In this case, it actually worked out pretty well for me, just with the spacing that were inherent to each item. Maybe that came from just the designer's choice.
Yeah, I don't really recall ever having to work with this kind of header before. I mean, a header's a header, but I didn't really pay attention to the fact that it was centered. So I think that kind of threw me off a little bit once it got to that point.
Yeah, I believe in the end, mine is a little closer to the center than yours, but they're both pretty good, I think. Right now, I'm just working on actually making the logo itself. We don't have an image for the logo, we just used the font. The font is called Rubik, like R-U-B-I-K, and you can find that on Google Font. It's actually quite a nice font.
It's funny about that because you didn't know what it was, and we were trying to find it using one of those font image like lookup things, and we just gave up on that, and Shay just found the closest one, and it ended up being the exact font that we needed.
Yeah, I found it just based on like some of the smaller text, and it like not looking at any of the key characters or the giveaway characters, and it just randomly happened to be the right one, which was a nice surprise. So I've moved on to the navigation. Looks like you're at this point a little bit ahead of me with what we're doing.
I forget what happened, but I ended up just like stumbling over some things here. I believe it had something to do with the hamburger.
Oh yeah, at this point I've spent time building the actual hamburger with HTML and CSS up in the top left there, where it actually looks like you've skipped over that part.
Yeah. And then I think it just kind of got to a point where I felt like I could either spend a lot of time working on the header or just kind of give up and go back to it later, which ended up biting me in the end because I had forgotten about it.
The header is the highest point value from what we've decided for the entire mockup. So I guess you were probably thinking you could get some of the points out of it and hopefully get more done. Oh, you got the gradient going on?
Yeah.
There you go. Sometimes at some point it becomes kind of difficult to tell whether or not you're looking at the mockup or your actual version of it.
Yeah.
Not yet, but soon.
And then I just saw myself there trying to do the exact same thing where I just put in all the elements and reload it and then style it from there. I guess.
I did the same thing in the hero section here. You can see that I've got all the HTML in place. And in a second here, I've just started working on the CSS, so we should be able to see it pop all into place. There goes the background. If anybody's wondering, that's just like a linear gradient where the color stops are both set right at 50%, so there's no actual fade between the two.
Yeah, we both did it that way, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we did. And I think we both ended up going with actually, sorry, no, I put the header, I just gave it a duplicate background with the linear gradient as well, whereas I believe you position absoluted the header over top, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that just kind of seemed natural to me, because if you were to scroll down the page and if it were a sticky nav.
Yeah, I think if I were to do it again, I would probably do it that way. With the time limit, I kind of panicked on a couple things and just did it the quickest way.
Yeah. I definitely panicked at this point. There was just something I was doing wrong. I ended up finding it out later that I think that I just had some of my I used like Flexbox in a lot of places, and it just kind of didn't really work the way that I wanted it to. I think I just put some properties in places that didn't make sense.
So once again here, it looks like I'm a little bit ahead of you on this, but we're still in pretty tight quarters. I think around this point we actually realized that 1 hour was not a sufficient time to accomplish this, and we decided to up the time limit to 1.5 hours.
Yeah, I think that we were approaching an hour at this point.
Yeah, we were, I think, maybe around 45 minutes or so at this point. I think right now I'm just working on a utility class for buttons, which I remember I made that utility class and then realized that we were almost done and I wouldn't be able to actually reuse the class, which kind of was disappointing.
I'm noticing now that you switch between the mockup and the site a lot more than I'm doing.
Yeah, I found that a little bit of noise in as just an easy way to correct some of the spacing. I think in the hero, initially I had a line item center between the watch and the content on the left, which I quickly realized was not the way the mockup was done.
Yeah. I'm noticing now that I also spent a lot of time working on that hover effect for the buttons.
It's kind of an awkward hover effect, probably one that I would never actually build.
Yeah, or at least there'd be some discussion when it got to development there.
Yeah, I've moved on to the following section now, just all the different watches. This was a really easy section to just build one and display flex to line them all out, and then just swap out the HTML, which I will be doing pretty quickly here.
Did you use flex within the each individual card?
No, just text-align center.
Okay.
That wasn't necessary. Did you?
No, I used text-align center too.
Yeah.
I just remember I panicked because you started taunting me. You're like, "Oh, I'm getting far ahead," and I was like, "Oh, I just gotta power through." And it was, yeah, this section was a lot easier.
It looked like you actually just tried display flex there for a moment and then took it away.
I did. I definitely did, and then I realized I was like, "Oh, I don't even need to."
This was a big screw up on my part here. I'm working on positioning that sail tag on the left side of the middle watch, and it's rotated with a transform, but just kind of in the heat of the competition, I entirely forgot about transform origin, which Danny later reminded me that was a thing.
Yeah, looking back here now, it's funny seeing how much quicker I got that tag than you did.
Yeah.
You're really pushing it around, trying to get in the right place, and
yeah, that's in the end that's going to be a point lost for me. I ended up just positioning that in a horrible way that would probably break in most contexts, so I'll definitely lose a point in that section. Now, actually, Danny and I are in the same place. He's caught up to me, and we are just working on getting this recent post section going.
And I'd done this pretty much exact effect on a site, a freelance site, a few months ago. So I was I knew exactly what to do there. I think I already have it. No, not quite. I'm getting confused between the mock-up and the actual site.
Yeah, I struggled a little bit with, as you can see on mine on the left there, my image was not protruding from the right of the color. It was centered in. That was just something to do with the way that I had it positioned. It just didn't work that way, and I had to, I just decided to finish up the right side to get that done and accurate for the points there, and then I would come back for the image, which right here I've just solved. I believe in the end I solved it using transforms. So we are going to start this with Danny's version of the site, and we will be grading each section one by one and assigning a point total.
So this is the mock-up, and if I switch over quickly, we'll take a look at my version. If I can do that. There we go. So right off the bat, there are like quite a few, the header's pretty unfinished. You have this hamburger that hasn't really done anything, it's just kind of like a big black bar. The logo is pretty close.
Yeah, I think the logo's good. Definitely will subtract 1 point for the hamburger.
Yeah.
Something we did notice in the mock-up is that the gray border surrounding the entirety of the navigation, actually, it must switch colors when it goes over to the darker half of the hero. That is something we're not going to be deducting points for. It's a bit of an oddity.
And then I guess another point missed would be the centered.
Yeah, the centering of the.
Centering of that.
It's quite a bit off, I would say.
Yeah. I'm sure that has something to do with this.
Yeah, if that was complete, that might be right in the right place.
And then I guess another point for
just that area is probably
whole area.
Yeah. Which I think overall we will be subtracting 3 points from the header, giving Danny a total of 5 points for that one.
Alright, so moving on to the hero section. It's pretty close.
I think so. Give it hover over the add to cart button. Yeah, the shadow's a bit different, but
that's
a little
very
bit
specific shadow.
Yeah.
What am I missing? We did decide not to do anything about this right here, this little sidebar, because it was.
Looking at the mock-up, we couldn't even tell what it was supposed to be doing. There's more sections than there are notches on that, so it's just kind of an odd thing that we decided to leave out.
Another thing that I'm noticing now is the pricing here on my. It's just off.
Just the sizing.
Yeah, sizing's off.
Yeah. As well as the letter spacing on the button is not corrected,
as well
I don't
as
think.
The letter spacing in the header on mine is a little bit tight.
Yeah, I think it's close enough. I'd say like maybe 4 out of 5 points for this section.
Yeah.
Alright, moving on.
Alright, so we'll take a look at the mock-up down for this.
Okay.
And then let's bring it down over here. So, I don't know, pretty close.
That's pretty close. The text is a little small for the titles, I think, on yours. Otherwise, it's really good. I think, for me, that's a 5 out of 5 on that one.
Yeah. Me too. I think so as well.
And on to the next one.
And then this final section. So here's the mock-up, and let's go down there. Oh, it's kind of hard to like scroll over, but
Oh, that's really close, though.
yeah.
That one I would definitely just give you 5 out of 5 on.
Yeah.
So we have a total of 19 points for Danny regarding the points for that as well. We total up his size, and he is at 9 kilobytes, which we said we would reduce 1 point for every 10 kilobytes. So I think we'll round up and we'll drop you down to 18 point total. Now we will move on to my mockup.
So we'll take another quick look at the mockup again here, and then now let's switch right over.
Alright,
So let's start with the header.
Yeah, a little bit closer on the header for sure. I think I got the hamburger for sure.
The logo's good.
Yeah.
And this side's definitely good.
Yeah, we didn't get the actual icons that were in the mockup. We couldn't find what set they were from, so we just went with Font Awesome, pretty generic, but gets the job done.
Is that some shade at Font Awesome there?
Oh, Font Awesome's amazing.
All right.
I think for the navigation, it's closer, but it's not close enough, I don't think.
Yeah, there's a very obvious divide in between those views.
Yeah, so I'm going to drop a point for that one, putting me at 7 points for the header.
You got me. All right. So moving on to the hero. Oh no, what happened? All right, we're fine. So, pretty close.
Yeah.
Definitely closer than mine, I think.
Yeah, I think the sizing's pretty good.
Here's a lot better. You have the really awesome hover.
Really weird how those jump back and forth. I'm not sure what the intention of the designer was on that. It's kind of hard to say.
Yeah. The only other thing I can think of is that this button is this large with or without the shadow.
Yeah.
But that would still be kind of strange.
Yeah, I'm not sure. What would you give me for this? A 5 or a 4? Do you think it's...
I think that I would... Yeah, I think it's a 5.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see anything that's very wrong.
Yeah.
Like, everything... Like, there might be some sizing things, but it's all relatively the same as the mock-up. So yeah, 5 out of 5. And I'm just noticing now that in the actual mock-up, they misspelled our rivals.
Yeah, I noticed that earlier too. All right, next section then.
So now we're down at the watches. And I think overall it's pretty
definitely
close.
Closer on the titles. This is, as we talked about in the time lapse, my sale button's there, but it's horribly put there, and I think I'm going to reduce myself a point in shame for that section. I guess so that will give me a 4 out of 5 on this featured section here. And on to the final section.
All right.
Recent posts.
Let's move down to yours. All right.
I didn't actually put any padding at the bottom of it.
Yeah. It's fine.
Yeah.
So I think that this part, the actual image with the background is... So you said that you used an element for this part?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. I was just curious.
Yeah. Do you think it's... I think it's
a
little off.
Yeah, this is like all... Just like a little bit up and right.
Yeah, I agree. I think just drop a point for that for me. Otherwise, I think 4 is probably a reasonable point total for that one.
Yeah, this is good. That's good. Yeah, it's just kind of, this is like a little awkwardly placed.
Right. All right. So that gives me 20 points.
Ooh.
And I was also 9 kilobytes, which drops me 1 point and puts me at 19 points, which makes me the victor
by 1 point
of the very first developer shootout.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
But this was fun.
It was fun. We will hopefully be back soon. Thank you guys for watching, and see you guys later.
If you guys are interested at all in seeing a more detailed version of our process as well as our source code, we'll leave a link to our GitHub repository in the description down below, as well as a link to the full 1.5 hour unedited version of this where we kind of just chat through while we're developing. We'll also leave a link to the original design that we found on Dribbble, as well as if you guys have any suggestions on future designs or ways that we could improve these videos, just leave those in the comments and then we will do that.